Start your mornings with something extraordinary. Introducing Monkey Werx Chimpurado, a delicious Mexican canela medium roast with irresistible notes of chocolate and cinnamon. Each cup transports you to the heart of Mexico, where the rich flavors of Mexican cinnamon meet the smoothness of medium roast coffee, kissed by a hint of chocolate. It's more than just coffee. It's a warm embrace, a moment of connection, and the perfect start to your day. Monkey Werx's Chimpurado, for those who crave excellence in every sip. Available now at monkeywerx.com.
All right, hey, welcome, folks. It's going to be your SITREP. It's 1/14/2025, coming to you live here from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. And we're going to talk today about taxation without representation. It's the same thing that happened with the Boston Tea Party, 1773. When people just got fed up that they were being taxed on stuff, and, it's a typical government. But now it has gotten so convoluted that there's a reason it's convoluted. We all know it is. It's because the tax laws, you can't understand them. And that's how they keep you, because you can't understand them, you can't figure it out. It's how they keep you in the dark when they're stealing you blind. So, but look, there's income tax. You've got, federal income tax, right? You got state income tax, local income tax. Then on top of that tax, you have payroll tax, which is Social Security, Medicare, and then it doesn't stop there. That's when they're taking it while you're earning it, because they've worked so hard for your money. Then you have sales tax, property tax, capital gains taxes, which are just insane. So if you decide not to spend it, and you hang on to it, but they're going to tax you on the money you make off of it. It's absolutely incredible what they do. Dividend taxes, estate, gift taxes, look, excise taxes, utility tax, self-employment tax, right? Look at it. Earning income, spending income, investing income, inheritance income, anything and everything. They are just basically getting blood from a turnip, and they don't stop there. They then harass you with letters because they can't get their books straightened, right? Because they don't know what checks they've received, what's cleared, what hasn't. It's a complete mess. It just needs to be a total reset. But then when you start to watch the things that are going on around our country, then you start to recognize that we're not represented on any level, right? You look at Maui, you look at North Carolina, you look at what's going on in California, and we're going to look very closely at the fires today. The maps, what's going on around it, some other little data points and indicators that I think are a little concerning. But they offer people in Maui very expensive. Maui is so crazy expensive, $400 after they lost their homes. Then you get to North Carolina. Oh, well, 400 was a little low. Maybe we give them 700. Right. And then you get to California and they go, we'll give them a one-time deal. This just came out yesterday from good old Biden himself. We'll give you $770. That'll pay for things like formula and diapers and water. And of course, they're going to tax you on that. They will, because it's income, right? They can't give you anything without taking something back. And so, but we're seeing this. It's an insult. It's a slap in the face when you turn around and you give Ukraine hundreds of billions of dollars to go fight a war that we have zero interest in, other than our deep state is embedded in Ukraine with all of their bioweapon labs. It's absolutely insane. And so, that's the only reason we're there. They've been there since 1948. Okay, CIA, when they formed right after Operation Paperclip, they sent a whole bunch of them over to Ukraine, and we've been there ever since. That's why we have so many labs over there. Now, if you try to tell me, the labs are, that's fact checked, it was incorrect. No, it wasn't. I showed you in the last SITREP. All of the DOD official websites that talk about standing down and taking down some of these labs because of the war with Russia, okay? They just took them down and moved them, folks. They didn't just shutter them, all right? Remember that, okay? So let's get into what's going on here in Southern California. I'm going to show you one thing I thought was interesting. First and foremost, we're going to get into some of the movements of your agencies and things like that, because I want to you don't want to lose sight of that, okay? So we'll start off with the Graybirds. This is Phoenix. They move their Uber for your CIA, some of your FBI guys, etc. You can see landed up here in this neck of the woods, just at the base of the mountains. And then you had another one that took off and decided, nah, we're not going up to Alaska. We're going to turn around and come back to Seattle. Another one went up to Alaska. Then you can see them break and headed out to Japan. Now, you get over here to Europe and see they landed in England, but operating out of Malta, headed over to Crete, two very big strongholds for our agencies. And that's where the drones come out of. All right. And then down to the Ivory Coast. That's always a good warm feeling when you see them headed down there to Africa, because you know they're just mixing it up. All right. So there's that aspect. And then you get over and you look at the FBI, DOJ, and notice they look to be going into, looks to be Oklahoma City, and then down to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, the reason I'm looking at them is because I wanted to see, did we have any teams headed out to Southern California, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because there are a lot of indicators that these are all arson fires, all right? Now, I'm going to tell you, I had a conversation yesterday with one of our local firefighters, and I asked him, hey, what do you think's happening in California? His first word out of his mouth, arson. I go, why would you think that? He said, because it's too sporadic. Winds will carry something from one location to the next. It's downwind. You know, you get a hot amber and or ember, and it takes it, and you get fires that way, right? Yeah, especially with 100-mile-an-hour winds. But the winds subside a little, and you get a slight reprieve, and then you start to see them popping up north of the fire locations. It's no rhyme or reason where these things are popping up, but there actually is, because I'm going to show you some videos of people actually setting fires. This is arson, which is just a form of terrorism, all right? And so when you start to look at the devastation around Southern California, the lack of leadership around Southern California, it's just a cocktail. This is just one giant dumpster fire, and no pun intended there. Just like Murphy's Law, you know, what can go wrong will go wrong, and it just seems to happen on every instance, especially with this administration, because they're incompetent. So let's take a look at the skies real fast before we get into the news and talk into deeper detail around these fires. But just to show you what's currently up, 364. I've stripped out probably 150 trainers out of the mix. If you look at H60s, we got 60 H60s up, KC-135s, 26. And then let me drop down a little further, and then another 12. So we are higher on our baseline in terms of the air refuelers. And let's see, anything else? I saw some Chinooks. There were 10 Chinooks currently up. None of them out over Southern California. They're all kind of over this general area. Let me just show you the H60s. It's the one thing that I think is a data point for you. Notice the concentration, right? Northeast, right? We've got an inauguration coming up. We'll talk about the nuke sniffers and what they've been up to. They are now active yet again, which is good, because this inauguration coming up, and here's why, right? Let me just show you this headline. This is from the Secret Service agent overseeing Trump's inauguration, and he's basically declared it is a higher threat environment and confirmed that all available resources have been activated to ensure the safety of Trump and his supporters. So that's just a data point for you, but it is goes to show you that I think it's crazy that he even does inauguration. I think it's doubled down crazy to be holding the celebration the day before, because, you know, there's a lot of people that don't want this to happen. A lot of very powerful people that don't want this to happen. And so just pay attention to that. But all this Black Hawk H60 stuff flying around there, it's just something we need to just watch, because I think you're going to see it at this level. This is 60 early in the morning, okay? 6 to 8 is kind of the normal. So it is significantly higher, right? Then you can see some of the intel balloons and things along these circles. Get over to Europe, same thing. You can just see the intelligence community that is out and about, right, doing ISR work, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, reconnaissance, ISR, all right? Okay, so let's do this. I want to show you the survey flights just over LA. I've got them covering in a whole bunch of different areas, but this is leading up to the day of the fire, all right? Now, pay close attention to this, because this gets really interesting. when you start to see where they're flying just right up to the day of the fire, just take a look at that, right? And you think about where the fires are right now, right? That's all around LA County. That's down to the south. That's out over the areas that the reservoirs, etc. Okay, so that's a data point for you. But the fact that they are doing surveys, I saw someone sent me a video, and it was Newsom talking about the fact that they had just basically gotten their hands on finishing a project that had to do with mapping out that whole area. So there you have it. Okay. So that confirms what he said. All right. He said the quiet part out loud. Now let's take you on over here to this, because this is the other part that I think is very concerning. You've got probably the worst natural disaster history on a major populace inside the United States. And you've got a president that, should be coming up to the podium and talking about, this is what we got accomplished today. Here, let me introduce you. We're going to talk to the FEMA people. And they come up and everybody starts talking about this coordinated event. Nothing. It's crickets. The guy didn't know how to read the room. You go down a little further and you can just see, State Department talking, State Department. You get up here to this piece and he's delivering remarks celebrating the administration's historic conservation legacy and signs proclamations to establish the Chuckwalla National Monument, right, out here in California. Okay, not talking about the fires. He's talking about celebration, for this national monument. Okay, doesn't know how to read the room, completely incompetent, and there you have it. Taxation without representation. And you get over to this piece, right? We talked about this, giving Maui, $400, people in North Carolina, $700. Ooh, really went deep in the pockets on this one, folks. The government says they're going to give $770 to each resident affected by the LA wildfires. And then at least 1,800 National Guard troops have been deployed. Okay. Now, you start looking at the H-47 flights in around the LA area, as I've shown. We've been tracking these, all the H-47 stuff. You'll just notice that they're pretty active, and that's because of the deployments, right? Of course, you see them also leaving the area, right? So taking those assets to safety. But H-47 Chinooks are used to move troops, move equipment. So that would be Humvees and California National Guard, et cetera, into the area. That's because of the looting and all the other stuff going on, all right? Oh, look at this. They're so generous. The federal government will cover disaster response costs for 6 months, right? It'll be in the form of loans, right, that they have to pay back. But this gives you kind of just a bottoms up. This is what's going on around the area. And you can see that there's a water safety alert down here. It tells you do not drink. You look at where LA County is. I mean, this is LA County. But you look at where all of the fire stuff is. You look at where actually downtown LA, et cetera. This is Inglewood down on this end. The winds are getting ready to start up again. We'll talk about the news on that in just a second. But these are, obviously the park's closed, but you can get into a lot of details. I've seen maps that actually show the houses that are completely destroyed. You can mouse over them and look at images of the house that has been destroyed, the destroyed house. Now, these green arrows, those are evacuation routes. They're telling everybody you head this way, sorry. Yeah. English is my first language. I just wanted to point that out. It's absolutely horrific. That's your public school systems for you. Right? So anyway, this is where we are in terms of the maps, what's getting ready to happen. Let's get into some of the news, because this one's a little bit out of sequence, but we'll go ahead and talk to it just for a minute. Actually, no, we won't. I don't want to divert us over. I'm going to take us down. That one's go down a little further as we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay. So let's go to this. Investigators are probing possible human origin behind the LA fires. Right now, I'm going to show you. We have actually video of people starting fires. This guy right here. He basically, there's his image, okay? But this is caught on one of the cameras. Look, he just sets that palm on fire. There it is, on fire, fully engulfed, and this is him walking by. All right? There are several of those videos out there. That's just one of many. This is another guy setting somebody's trash on fire. All right, 1:30 in the morning. That looks like a female, actually. All right. Incredible that they are actually, look, there's your fire. It doesn't take much. You do that, then the car catches on fire, then the next thing you know, wind takes it, and it's off to the races. So that is a first data point. Let me take you back over to headlines. We're going to take away the Trump piece. I want to show you something nobody's really talking about. And I think it's interesting. I think it could be a data point, and I think it is maybe a possibility. Now, Trump came out, and he talked about January 6th and the protesters, and he mentioned the fact that he thought Hezbollah was involved in that based on the feds, etc. So that got me thinking. I go, wait a minute. Why would Hezbollah be in the United States on January 6th stirring the pot? That's kind of strange, isn't it? Well, then I remember seeing on January 7th, the day the fires began, that Iran posted this. According to the IRIB TV3 in Iran, in the coming hours, the world will witness unusual scenes and developments. Okay. Could they be behind these fires? Act of terrorism? You know, Biden's talking about leveling one of their nuclear facilities. They're probably like, well, you know what? Best defense, good offense. We're just going to deploy our assets. Doesn't take much. As you have seen when I take you over to this piece. Well, hang on one second. Before we go there, let me just show you this part. All right. California reports illegal migrant arrested amid arson fears. All right. So what's going on? Okay. Arson fears. Is it a fear? No. I just showed you videos of people actually lighting stuff on fire. What's the first word out of the fireman's mouth when I asked him what he thought was going on? Arson. Okay. Now, this is where it gets really dangerous because we have an extreme fire danger, right? As the return of the winds, strong winds, they're saying these 45 to 70 miles an hour. Now, last time they were up to 100 miles an hour, which was unprecedented. But they're saying this is a very dangerous situation because fires are they're not even hardly contained. Some of them are, you're talking 11%, 16%. But you can look at this devastation on here. This is just incredible. This was today. This is from this morning. Now I'm going to hit play for just a second. I'm going to make sure I go into mute mode. So you may, that way you don't hear the helicopter sound, but you can just look at the devastation. It literally, it looks like Hiroshima. You see that power line spark? No, never mind. That was the sun shining off of some water. Okay. I was thinking, how do they still have power in that situation? No, they don't. So anyway, you can see what's happening here, and it's about to get worse. Now, it's not going to just stop. So you got the winds that are returning, right? We talk about the winds returning, but then there's another danger that we need to all be paying very close attention to, and that is when the rains hit, you're going to have washouts, mudslides, etc., in these areas because there's nothing to contain the ground, right? That's a huge threat on top of this. Okay, and I showed you the Chinooks, right? 1,800 California National Guardsmen activated for the LA fire response. And there are the Humvees. This is what the Chinooks basically fly in. They carry them on the bottom, or they just drive them in and load it up with whatever they got and head to that location. So nearly 2,000 have been deployed, and that's because of the looting, and they're trying to contain it. But it's about to get a lot worse, okay? Now, here's another data point. Very strange things, okay? This is, someone just shared this the other day. I don't know why I didn't know about this. Now, I will tell you, take this all with a pinch of salt because these are people that can actually input the data, okay? These are Geiger counter readings. All of the greens are normal readings. People just kind of go in, they read their counter, they load the data. Could somebody fat thumb some of these? 100%. So there's no way of telling whether or not this was, a true 1,551 reading or not. So we zoom in a little. I'm going to take us over here to that particular one. And if you click on it, it basically gives you who loaded it and what type of tube they were using, etc. That right there is so high. It's astronomically high. Why would you have a Geiger counter reading or a radiation reading to that magnitude in that area? I don't know. Go down here to California. We'll zoom in a little bit more. And if you want to look at this map, it's kind of cool. It's called gmcmap.com. GMC, like the vehicle, right? GMC. All right. So there is that aspect. Now, the good news is, let me get down here towards Los Angeles. I don't see any super high readings. I do see this one that's out here near one of the national forests. Okay. So let me do that. I'm going to back it up a little bit. I want to take us over to kind of Ukraine, etc. I do see this one with that number. I don't like it one bit. You get up here into Nova Scotia. You can see somebody also submitted a very high radiation reading. This one, right? You get down to Hungary, and digits aren't working right this morning. You can see this one right here is that's really kind of concerning. I try to mouse in and it won't let me. That's why you keep getting that. There's a very high reading in the middle of that city. There's Vienna over here. Why? I don't know. I have no idea why this is what it is, other than it's input by people. You get over to Ukraine, I fully expected to see something out here, but I don't see anything. Right? And you get near Israel, the data just goes away. So people aren't really using Geiger counters over here. All right. But it's just something we're going to watch and monitor. If I see some weird spikes, again, it's somebody could easily fat thumb a number in there, and all of a sudden you got some crazy reading. This is not official by any means. All right. Okay. Pay attention to this piece. This is very important because this one, we know this guy's a traitor. But Ray warns that Islamic terror is much closer to being a problem in the U.S. than people realize. Just what a glorious thing to hear out of your director of the FBI. Now, we know he steps down the minute Trump comes in. We know that Cash comes in. He's going to basically straighten this ship, hopefully. But it says here, his warnings come after the U.S. was hit by an Islamic terrorist earlier this month. That was New Orleans, who was, by the way, a U.S. Army veteran. Okay. So this, he said, I guess it came on 60 Minutes, etc. I'm just going to show you a couple things as we point this out. He said this several times, would not be the least surprised that he's basically just tipping his hat to, hey, just heads up, folks, it's getting ready to happen. Okay. And I don't mean to us. He's telling, the deep state guys, man, stay tight. Plans are in play. Just giving you a heads up. This is, because they communicate through these things. You do know that, right? Okay. Okay. So we'll look at this piece. This is the one I moved. I was going to talk about it a minute ago, and I said, wait, I'm getting out. I'm out of sequence. All right. Russian mercenary arrested in Texas at the border. Right. This guy that got arrested was tied to the Wagner Group. Now, the interesting piece, it says, it was reported, he was actually went before a federal judge in McAllen, Texas. That's the border town. Pleaded guilty to a charge of illegally entering the country. Right? So now he's locked up. He's behind bars. But according to this, at the time of the arrest, he had 2 passports, one from Kazakhstan. Like I said, I don't know if I say that right or not. And then the other from Russia. Okay. And then he also had a drone in his backpack. That'd be a little drone. He had a drone in his backpack, $4,000 in U.S. cash, and then 60,000 pesos, which is equivalent to $3,000 U.S. All right. Now, he's not the only one that has been busted. In fact, we've had 10,000 what they call special interest aliens that came in prior to October of this past year. 10,000. Okay. This guy's one of 10,000. But it also said that we had people come across that were from Egypt and a lot of other considered terrorist countries or organizations. So look at this. 2 Iranians, 2 Egyptians. All right. Okay. let's move on. Now, that was that piece, right? You got a Wagner guy that just came across the border that got caught. How many have come across that have not been caught? They're telling you 10,000. You know, that number is astronomically higher than that. The getaways number is, you're talking like 100,000. It's just some ridiculous number of people that just got away. Saw them, couldn't catch them. They were faster than me, right? Gone. U.S. Army reports stolen Humvees from Southern California military base. How does that even happen? A secure military base. It's because you're putting illegals on those military bases. You're giving them access to those, even though they're in a camp. I've shown you that happens at Biggs Army Airfield. You've got a camp that holds 15,000 illegals. You go to Fort Dix, they're bringing in 2,000 a month. I mean, this is why these things happen. But let's see. Culprits were able to steal gear, removing locks from multiple lockers, and then. Let's see. Oh, they also attempted to open a uniform storage. Yeah, stealing uniforms. Little suspect, right? And then the equipment that was looted was 8 machine guns. 8 machine gun vehicle mounts. 7 freestanding gun tripods, medical capabilities, 40 pairs of binoculars, and 18 bayonets. So, on top of that, Humvees, right? Absolutely incredible. So, this is what they took, okay? Convenient. All right. Now, I showed you that they said that, the whole inauguration piece was going to be a very big event, very high security event. There's a lot of concerns. So, you can see this is your nuke sniffer helicopter. It is doing some routes around the DC Metroplex. These up and downs, they're taking different reading samples at different altitudes, right? That's what you see there. National Nuclear Security Administration. And then started yesterday, so that was the last flight, landed a day ago, and you could see it kind of heading around the Washington area. Now, you'll see this every single day along the waterways, right? Okay. Now, we're talking about nukes. We're talking about stolen Humvees and trying to get in and steal uniforms, all of the other good stuff. Let me just show you what Omni has been up to, because these are your biggest perpetrators when it comes to bringing illegals into the country, as well as moving DoD assets. Notice this one heads down to the Philippines, Malaysia, out of Okinawa. And you get over to the United States. This is 5 days of Omni, right? You see them moving all over the United States. You see them down in the Southern California border. You notice they go to San Antonio, down to Brownsville, McAllen. And then notice the flurry coming out of Central America, out of Colombia, Caracas, Dominican Republic. You see that when it goes into Guantanamo Bay? Remember I told you we had an immigrant camp down in Guantanamo Bay? All right. These are probably the ones that said, I'm not playing ball. Or they're ones that we caught after the fact and we said, oh, these are bad guys. We need to take them down. They're not going to prison at Guantanamo Bay. They're going to an immigrant camp on Guantanamo Bay. Not a super big thing they publicize. And you get over to Europe and you can see, it looks like a lot of troop movement stuff spreading out, fanning out over 5 days. Now, that's Omni. Now you go to Global X in 5 days and take a look at where they've been heading and look at the flurry of activity out of Miami. See this out of Southern California down to the Texas border. That's just moving people from one location to another. They get them on flights and fly them into the heart of our country. As you can see, these are cities that they have just delivered a fresh load of illegals. Canada even got some all the way up Montreal, just over the border from Buffalo, New York, right? And then look at the flurry out of Miami. That's because, remember, Omni flies. They bring a hub. They bring them into Miami, and then Global X is also picking up some of the ones they bring into Miami. Don't lose sight of that, though, because when they bring them into Miami, you can see that one down to Honduras. They, in essence, put them on commercial flights, and we lose them because there's no way to track them. Now, when you know it's a small airline, you can track their flights, but when they get into a larger platform like American, Delta, United, etc., yeah, they're just gone, right? People see them because they see them with the white packets. So they know that they are illegal. But all right, over here to the NOTAMs, it just, you'll see, this area around LA, where the fires are, etc. And then this is a missile box. Looks like we've got a launch, right? So that's a missile box coming out of Cape Canaveral. Danger boxes off the eastern seaboard as well as up here. All right. See if there's anything else catches my eye. Now, remember, we just saw the agency boys headed down here. Right? Ivory Coast actually is where they headed, but notice you got some boxes here close to Nigeria. And let's see, I don't see anything else that actually really catches my eye here. So let's move on. All right. This is Biggs Army Airfield. Big takeaway here is just look at the amount of H-60s and Chinooks flying. This is just today. Very, very active at the base right now. H-47 Chinooks, H-60 Blackhawks. This will take you over to Dover, and you just see what's coming inbound. You've got a lot of 747s rolling in, look to be deadheaded in. And then you'll see them leaving, headed to, one's going to Ramstein, the other Ramstein, and then the other RZE Poland as we give one big last push. Oh, by the way, Biden just, he's on the brink of releasing another $500 million to Ukraine. All right. Now, this is going to be your camber flights. Just notice this one seems to be headed out. It's over the Mediterranean right now, coming out of Bahrain. And this one looks to be coming out of Anchorage, probably going to RZE Poland if I was a betting man. That's typically 155 millimeter artillery that they're taking in. Now, this is going to be the Brits, and you'll notice it's out over Norway, but we've got them leaving Germany as well as London. Here's what you got on the board. Terceira Island, that's a fuel stop. Smaller aircraft, Falcon 900. Okay, that's the Brits. Moving on over here to Ramstein. Now, the last couple times we've checked in, Ramstein has been very active, very busy. And so we get down, and it has not changed. Still very active. Just noticed 747s coming in, a lot of troops coming in. Okay. That's U.S. Navy logistics. That's a U.S. SPAR. That's going to be one of your blue and white dignitaries coming, landed in Terceira Island as well. Yeah, been very, very active. All right, there's your camber flight departing, 767-300. I don't see an Omni flight on the board today. A little unusual. Typically, they're there. All right, RZE Poland. This is your forward operating base right up against the Ukraine border. Just notice the 747s inbound. Camber flight, camber flight, camber. All today, camber. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 U.S. Transportation Command flights coming inbound today, all 747s. All right. We are giving them everything that we possibly can. That's Belgium Air Force. So German Air Force. That's a pretty active base. Okay. And then this is Cyprus. I just wanted to look at it because I see the Brits going in and out of there so frequently. This is their forward operating base for the Brits, so to speak. Probably quick reaction forces are there, right? QRF stuff, etc. Remember, this is right off the coast of Turkey. It's off the coast of Lebanon, off the coast of Israel. So it gives them a very close proximity to the Middle East. And you can just see the flurry of activity by the Brits in and out of that base operation. All right. This is going to be just, it's something to just take away, data point, bizarro. I'm telling you, there are no coincidences. This Juju, which is bad Juju, right? Bad Juju flight, 2216 that crashed. That's the one you saw come in. It basically hit the runway and just skidded all the way off. Killed a whole bunch of people. South Korea, okay? Says the black box is lost data 4 minutes before impact. That does not happen, folks. Well, it does happen when there's foul play in. It'd be really interesting to see who died on that flight. I haven't seen any type of a list of passengers, but I can bet there was somebody very important on that flight for that to happen. 179 people died out of 181. All right, pretty bad. So, all right, that's going to do it for our SITREP today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you on Thursday for the next one. But buckle up. I think we are in for we're at the pinnacle of the bumpy ride. It's going to just get uglier from here on out. I think as we get closer to the inauguration, you'll start to see the unrest settling out, which, we are expecting it, right? We know that's what they're going to do. That's their MO. But pay close attention to this California fire thing, because there is some serious shenanigans at play with that one too. So we'll check back with you on Thursday. You guys be safe. God bless. Monkey out. Artisan handcrafted soaps. Get yours in the Monkey Werx shop today.